We are coming to you live from Kearney, New Jersey, with our special guest, LaShonda Tyree. She has been a certified soap maker for over 18 years. She served the handcrafted natural soap and cosmetic industry as a board member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild. And we're very excited to learn how to make soap today. She also is going to share with you a link. We will share the link as to how you can purchase one of these soap kit making kits, because what better can you give someone for Christmas? As LaShonda and I were talking about before this started, how many pair of socks can you give someone? So a soap making kit is a super cool gift. I also want to, before we get started, thank our December sponsor, Zally Somerset ShopRite. So anyone in the Jersey area, please make sure to go by Zally Somerset ShopRite, and because they help us present these wonderful programs to you. So without further ado, a warm welcome to Girls Night Live, LaShonda Tyree.
Thank you, Shelley. Well, good evening, everyone. Well, afternoon, actually, it's not even quite yet. But my name is LaShonda Tyree, and I am the owner of Naya Beauty, where I hand make natural soaps, lotions, and scrubs. And so today I'm excited. I always love soap making because soap making is my first love. I can make other natural skincare products, but soap making is where it all started. And so some of you have purchased the kit online, and I'm actually going to show the kit to everyone in a few seconds. But I want to kind of like give you my little brief story, just a little brief one about how I got started. Actually, I was working in banking. And total left brain, right thing switch, because I've always been creative, but I was an accountant. So it's like two totally, different things. Some are theoretical and then the other one, or analytical, and the other one is like creative. But it was creative therapy. I always like to make things with my hands. And so I went to the local craft store and purchased melt and pour soap making kits and started making soaps. And actually what inspired me to start my business was my mom. One of those soaps that I made, one day I gave her a couple and she said, make me more. And I was like, why you want more? She said her skin did not itch after bathing, which meant that there was something that was irritating her skin in the mass market soaps. And so that is what started my journey in soap making and going online and joining some groups. This is pre-Facebook. So this would be like the Yahoo days when Yahoo was king. And I joined some Yahoo groups and learned from other people that I didn't even see, honestly. We were just chatting and typing, and I was reading and gleaning from them. So that's where the soap making journey started for me. And it started with this method that we're going to do tonight, which I call like a crafting soap base, because the base is already made. You're customizing the soap. You're going to pick the molds. Well, in the kit, the molds come pre-selected. But you can pick your molds, you can pick the colors, you can pick your scents, you can pick your additives, and you just mix it all together and you pour it into a mold. And you can do other design things with it. So it's not just straightforward that kind of way. You can do some layering if you want to. It takes a little time, but you can also you can get very creative with it. And so that's how I started with that soap making method. And then I transitioned over into primarily making cold processed soaps, which I make from scratch using natural oils like coconut, olive, palm, and shea butter. Okay, so I'm just going to show everyone the kit. Actually, that for those who have the kit already. So inside the kit, you actually received 1 pound of soap base. And so I like to purchase this online. You can, like I said, you could purchase this at your actual craft store, but the one that I purchased is detergent free. So I like to make sure that I get the detergent free base, and this base comes in different colors or different types. So this is a clear base. You also can get an opaque or white base. And then they have all different kind of, you can get a 3 butter base, which may have mango and cocoa or shea butter in it, goat's milk, aloe. There's a variety of different types of bases out there. So some are just straightforward bases, but then there's some that are a little bit more with some extra wonderful stuff. And then your molds. So these are some silicone molds. I love silicone because they can take the heat temperature. Sometimes your soap can get kind of hot because you're going to be melting your soap down. You could use the traditional plastic molds, but you just have to make sure that your soap is not too hot when you pour it, because the lovely designs will kind of get warped if you're using plastic. But with silicone, it can take, I think, like up to 300 to 400 degrees. Okay. So you have 4 molds, enough for 4 soaps, because you have a pound of soap, which is enough for 4 bars of soap. Also, the number of bars you can get out of this pound is usually predicated on the capacity of the mold. So sometimes you may actually get more bars of soap if your soap molds are smaller. Also in your kit should have been some stirring spoons. I gave you 4 just in case. Some people like to have a fresh spoon in between. A pipette, which will be used to draw the fragrance that we have. And since it's the winter season, even though it's not officially winter, but we're in the holiday winter season, and some snow has already fallen in New Jersey, just some flakes. But snowflakes, hey, they're seasonal, right? They represent this time of year. So you should have a fragrance, and that fragrance is called Snowflake Kisses. Then also in your kit came some glitter, because we're going to use some glitter in it to also, it looks really awesome in the clear. It is a nice shimmer. 4 cups to melt your soaps down. You can melt, we're going to use the microwave today during the class, but there are other ways to melt your soap down. And then you have the primary colors of yellow, blue, and red. So you can always make your secondary colors if you want to, the oranges, the greens, and the purples. All right. And that was in your kit. Also, there was probably some bags to store your soap in after you've unmolded them. Okay. So we're going to get started. Before I get started, Shelly, are there any questions at this moment?
So Helen asked from Facebook, how do you choose the ingredients and determine what to mix together? Is it a lot of trial and error as far as the fragrance goes?
Oh yeah, fragrance. So you can buy fragrance in the local craft store, but as you probably will start making, if you start making more, you're going to want to save some money and go online. So I always suggest when I teach classes that, of course, the price online is going to be cheaper and the price per pound is going to be cheaper. But usually the suppliers that service this industry will have smaller sizes, like a 1 ounce or a 2 ounce. Buy the 1 ounce and 2 ounce. Make sure you like the fragrance before you go and put the money into a pound. Because if you don't like it, you can't send it back. And so then you're stuck with a fragrance that's just going to sit around until you try and figure out what you can do with it. So it is a lot of trial and error. There are a lot of videos out there. There are a lot of books. I learned a lot by books, because before that, when I was learning, like I said, Yahoo days, so that was the early 2000s, it was all a lot of reading. And so there was a lot of books that were out there. The internet was new. And so I would go and buy books. I would go to the Barnes and Nobles and kind of flip through and just try different things. And there were books that showed like different styles or different ways that you can do things. And you can use different ingredients. You can use dried herbs. So if you're going to use any herbs or you're going to do herbal soaps, make sure that the herbs are dried. And so maybe you might have them already in your garden. Maybe you have some peppermint or roses. Just make sure you dry them, because the water content needs to be out. If the water stays in it, then it will of course decay. And as it decays, then it has like those nasty things we don't want in our pretty soaps. Okay. And as you're doing things, do small batches. Test something out and make 1 bar of soap. Don't make 10 bars of soap, because you don't like them. You want to make sure you like it before you mass produce it. Okay. So keep a good notebook if you're planning on getting into this. All right. So unwrap. This comes wrapped. So if you buy the kit from me, you'll get a nice little wrap. So if you are watching, if you were one of the ones that did purchase the kits in advance, you're going to unwrap your soap. And you're going to need some additional things you'll need on hand is something sharp to cut your soap with. So it could be a sharp knife, or I like to use, I never know what to really call this thing. I always say the pastry cutter. That's all I got. And I didn't even realize that it had like a ruler on here until people in the class was doing this. And I was like, oh, what were they doing? But I just eyeball it. I don't really do all of that. I just kind of cut it into quarters. and just kind of seesaw it. You know, if you have a butcher knife, you would do the same. Just be careful with, as you know, with any sharp device. You can actually do this crafting, this type of soap making method with young children. So I would probably say like 7 and up, but just, you know, under adult supervision, of course, because you melt the soap, it does get hot, and you don't want them to spill hot soap on them. I am impressed at how well I cut this. I don't normally cut that straight. And you're just going to cut it into the quarters. All right. And then we're going to do one soap at a time. So each quarter will be for 1 bar of soap that will be made. And what you're going to do now is cut it up into smaller pieces. So this helps the soap to melt a lot easier, however you plan on melting it. I'm going to use the microwave to melt mine. It's quicker. But you can also do a double boiler. Double boiler, you would put it in a glass measuring cup, put your chunks in there, have a hot pot of water, sit this in, and let it melt down. Okay. Are there any questions, Shelly?
There are just a few. Let's see. Lacey from Instagram, are all ingredients natural?
All ingredients, yes, except, well, I would say from what I have here today, the only probably naturalist thing is the soap base. The fragrance is a synthetic. So it, which all fragrances are, except if you're using essential oils. Those come from plant bases and sources. And then the colorants that we're using are FD&C or DNC dyes. So they're basically like food coloring. So those would be unnatural, okay? You definitely could use natural, like scents. You can add, like I said, natural roses or dried herbs. You can take tea bags that you may have, some peppermint tea or chamomile tea. You can actually use those as additives, okay? So you don't have to break it up too small, but like maybe like diced cheese or diced cut pieces of cheese. Just this helps it to melt a lot quicker in the microwave.
Yes, someone's asking, are you putting the whole block into the microwave at once? And then Anna was asking, can you repeat what the block you are cutting is? I didn't hear what you said.
This is a melt and pour soap base. It's a pre-made soap base. And so a lot of times, like mine, I know this is has coconut oil in it. I believe this one has palm, glycerin, sorbitol. This one's a pretty natural soap base, which I really love. The ones you probably will purchase in the stores will probably not be so natural. They'll have some natural stuff in them, but they'll probably have some other additives in there to help, like some other detergents or other things. So I prefer buying this brand online. So once you cut up your chunks, whether you're using a glass measuring cup or the cup that I provide in the kit, you're going to melt this down. This will probably take about 35 seconds. Of course, it's going to depend on the strength of your microwave. I think mine is 1,000 watts. So I'm going to go quickly and melt this down in 30 seconds, and I'll be back. And then Shelly will, if you have any questions when I come back, we'll take those as well.
Sounds good.
Okay.
We won't go anywhere. LaShonda, before we started, was speaking about how they have all these corporate orders that are rushing to get out the door for the holidays. So we certainly appreciate her being here today. It's probably one of the busiest times of the year. People are ordering soap gift baskets, I think is what she was saying. But it also looks like she has a lot of other items on her website as well. And again, if you have any questions, just go ahead and put it in the chat. I'm just saying, Linda, I think she answered about the ingredients. So if you're good with that answer, unless there's something else you want me to ask her, I think we were good with that. It's also hard to believe that Christmas is in 2 weeks. Everybody finished their Christmas shopping? Holiday shopping? You have to mail any holiday shopping. We all know how slow the transit is right now. So you got to get everything in the mail much faster than normal. Up, here she comes.
Here I am. All righty. So now it's melted. And you don't have to melt it all the way. Sometimes there might be chunks in there. So the heat from the rest of the soap could actually melt it down. All right. So for our first one, I'm going to, well, don't want to forget the fragrance. Sometimes we get so caught up in the creative part of it, we kind of forget about, like, I think like the main character here, the scent. And so then you poured it and you're like, oh my goodness, I poured the fragrance. So you're going to take the pipette and you can draw up about like 2.5. There's little markers on here to show you 2.5 milliliters. You squeeze it in and you just stir it. Now the color of the fragrance may also, because sometimes some fragrances have tints to them, just I guess from the ingredients that's used. So sometimes they're kind of clear like that one, and sometimes they're yellowy. So I could smell this already from, I don't even need to put it up close. I'm already smelling it. So that, to me, that's kind of a nice strong scent. Now I'm going to add some color. Let's see. Oh, we're using clear. So with colors, with the clear soap, your colors are going to be more, I say they're true colors. Like, you know, blue is going to be very bold and dark. Whereas, I'm trying to look for a blue just to kind of, so, or to give an idea. So like, it'll be more like this blue in the clear. But in the white, it would be more like this. It's more, oh boy, why am I losing my words? But it'll be a lighter shade, okay? So it's just because of the color of the base, it actually makes it more pastel. That's the color, the name of the word I was looking for. So I'm gonna put and do your anything like drops at a time. So color 1, 2, 3. Because you don't want to add too much. You don't want it to be too dark, or you might not, you know, everybody is different. Okay, so maybe I might want it darker. Some people may want it lighter. Just start doing the drops, but don't do squeezes. Some people like to squeeze it in there. 4, 5, 6. Okay. And the colors are concentrated. Now, the great thing about this soap base is that if you get so caught up and your soap starts to cool down, because you will notice it cooling down, it'll start to get a little thicker on you. Okay. You see how the color just got a little darker? 1, 2, 3. That's 9 drops. And there's no, you know, this is your soap. When you make it, you just always, you add as much as you want. Not as much as you want. You don't want to get too carried away with it. Now I'm going to put a little glitter in. You also want to use cosmetic grade glitter. So don't buy the glitter in the craft store, because that's made with like plastics, and so you don't want that on your skin. And I don't know if you can kind of see how it just kind of got very shimmery from the glitter. Okay. And for that, we're just going to pour it into your mold. And you're going to pour close to the top as you can get. Now, what's cool with this is I actually have a little bit left. All right, so I'm actually going to utilize that and pour it into another soap mold. And so what I could do with this is layer. So I would melt down some more soap, maybe make it another color. Okay, and I'm going to pick up and move it over onto my tray so that I can carry it to the refrigerator or freezer. So when I do a class, in-person class with this type of soap making method, we put it in the freezer so that the participants can take their soaps home in like 30 minutes. If you're doing this at home, you can just leave it out and let it sit, and it'll harden on its own in a couple of hours. Okay, I see some questions coming through. Shelly?
There are a few. So the last one, could you add natural herbs into your soap?
Of course, of course. Just like I said, just make sure that they are dry. Okay, dry any plant matter. Make sure it's dried. Okay.
Okay,
All right.
Lucy from Instagram. I want to make my kids soap. Can I put a small toy in the center?
Yes, you can. You definitely can. A wonderful incentive for taking a bath, right? There's a prize inside. So yes, that's a great thing, a great way to do it. Or if maybe you're doing favors for a birthday party, you can always put it in. You probably want to maybe wait till either the soap gets a little thicker, has cooled down, so like so that when you pour it over, it won't sink. So this soap base is very liquidy, it's very watery initially. And so it doesn't really always hold things. They don't always suspend or stay where you want them to. So that may be one way to kind of wait till the soap base has kind of cooled down a little bit. It's a little thicker than when you first, add the colors and other things to it. Or you could pour like we did here. I just poured a little bit, and then you could probably put your toy on top of this once it hardened, and then pour over the remaining soap once the base has hardened. And that way the toy will be on the inside. But I used to do the toy, and parents would buy them all the time so that they could entice their children to, I think I put like little cars in there. And so that was an awesome treat. Okay.
Okay, two more. Kathy was asking, when you put it in the freezer, do you need to be careful not to get moisture into it? Will it cloud up in the freezer?
Yeah, I mean, it just want it in there for maybe like 20-30 minutes, the max. And then once you take it out of the freezer, then you just let it get to room temperature, and then you can wrap it up. I mean, there may be initial condensation from being in the freezer and then coming out, but just let it kind of dry if there's any that happens, and then you can bag it. And these soaps I would actually keep in a bag of some sort, just so that the moisture, because what happens, because these soaps have glycerin added to them, the glycerin, if there's a lot of moisture, it's very humid. It happens a lot when it's humid. It pulls that moisture onto the soap, so it actually kind of looks like a little dew. It's not harmful, it's just a natural reaction that's happening from the soap, from one of the ingredients that's inside the soap. So it kind of comes out to the surface because it's pulling that moisture out of the air. Okay.
Great. And people are asking again about the soap making kit. Is it available? The answer is yes. I'm going to drop the link in the chat one more time, so we'll have it go on the live stream as well as here on Zoom. And one more for now. Pat from Instagram, can you swirl two colors together to make a pattern?
You can. It's kind of hard. I don't know how patterns you want to be, but I was going to actually show you. I like to do like a little tie dye kind of. I call it tie dye, and what I normally do is, or tie dye / swirl, because sometimes it comes out tie dye-ish, and sometimes it comes out like a swirl. But what I do is I'll take the colors, and then I'll just do like drops, like literal drops, not squeezes, and maybe like no more than 12 drops between all the colors. So if you're using, two colors, you can do 6 and 6, or you can, however you want to divide those 12 drops up. And I like, because if you use the primary colors, when they mix, I let the soap do the swirling. Okay. So let me see how much time we have. Maybe I could quickly melt this down and quickly do this thing here so you can kind of see what happens.
We're okay with time, LaShonda. Don't worry about it. It's all good. Here she comes. Or there she goes. See her. How's everybody's soaps coming out? Doing a good job, I hope. Where's everybody from, by the way? Feel free to go ahead and put it in the chat where you're from. We almost always have someone from Canada or from outside of the United States. Wakefield, Massachusetts. I was going to ask you, Daniela, where's Wakefield? Humid Florida. Oh boy. Philly, our hometown. Oh, there we go. Great idea. Thanks for hosting this for us. Minnesota, Boston, people from all over the place today. It's great. Okay, LaShonda. Oh, Linda from Nova Scotia, Canada. Welcome,
Wow.
Linda.
That's awesome.
Welcome, Linda.
All right, so I just used the same measuring cup that I melted the other. So there's a little blue, light blue tint in it, and that's okay. But, you know, I just added the drops and just pour. And sometimes it's a little hard to see the colors until it hardens, because especially because it's clear, you won't necessarily see the swirling that's taking place because of how dark it looks. All right. You will also may notice that there's some bubbles that surface, and that's okay. You can remove them if you have a spray bottle. If you put like rubbing alcohol and just spritz it, and it disperses the bubbles. I've noticed that they kind of disappear after being in the freezer. I don't know what happens to them, but in here it's swirling around, and you really can't see it. It's better if I did this with with the white base. You would have definitely seen how the colors, but you can kind of like see like the yellow came up, the blue have popped up over here. I'm not sure if hopefully you can see, but they're starting to kind of just do their own thing. I haven't done any touching or manipulating with it. So it's kind of swirling around on its own. I'm not sure if you can really see from the camera. Okay. And now this base here, I'm going to slowly just see, I can start, this is how you layer. You just add to the next layer. Now you just want to make sure though that that first layer is pretty firm before you add to it, because of course, then if you pour, it's going to go right through, which, you know, I always say it ends up being a pretty soap still anyway. But, you know, if you're looking for distinct layers, you want to make sure that your layers are, they don't have to be cool, but it needs to be thick and sturdy. Because see, on here, I don't know if you can see this, I'll bring it up a little bit. It's starting to get a skin. So it's cooling down, of course, from the surface downward. Okay. And then, like you said, someone asked about, you know, herbs and things, like this is a tea bag. You definitely can add the herbs to it and make a herbal soap. You don't have to spend a whole lot of money. Oops. You can use some of the things that you may have already in your home. And you would just, you know, melt down your soap into your cup. And then you can add however much of the herb you want to add in there, or the additive. Okay. You could do ground coffee. That makes a great exfoliating soap. If you have cornmeal can be a little hard and really rough. So maybe that might be a soap you make someone who's like a mechanic, and they may have a lot of grease on their hands and they need something like with some extra exfoliation. Oatmeal. If you have oatmeal in your cupboard, you can use that. That is a great exfoliator and also skin soother. Chamomile is not only good for, you know, drinking and calming us internally, but also it also is great for our skin. So those are some herbs that you can actually add. Okay. Any more questions?
We have a couple of people that are still asking about finding you. First of all, you can find all of LaShonda's products and the link to Naya right on the Girls Night Live Women Know Marketplace. And you'll be able to see that not only does she have soap, but she has scrubs and lotions all made with natural oil. And one of the questions, as a matter of fact, LaShonda, was somebody was interested in your scrubs and they have extremely sensitive skin. Can you give her a suggestion?
I make 2 scrubs that have essential oil. So if you have very sensitive skin and you're sensitive to fragrances, then I would maybe suggest those 2, the tea tree and the wake up call, because those are the essential oil base or fragrance scrubs. I tend to be more on the lighter side of fragrancing. So, maybe you can try a fragrance one if you like it. Because I've had quite a few people who have issues with like using fragrances, but they tend to be able to use a lot of the things that I make. So it is, unfortunately, I wish I could give you a definite answer on which one would work, but of course, you will have to try it and see how your skin reacts to it, because of course, everyone's skin reacts differently.
We have another question. So Anna from Instagram Live, I want to give the soaps as gifts. Do you suggest packing them in a plastic bag or tissue paper?
I would do it probably like a plastic bag, like let me see, I know I have one down here. Like one of those sack bags or something. Then you can find these like in Hobby Lobby or Michael's. So these little snack or candy bags or loot bags or whatever they call them. And these will work very well. Okay. And then they usually come with a twist tie. So you can just, twist it, use a twist tie, and they're cute. So that would be a great way to, I think, to present it in one of these cello bags. And now, because of the holiday, you can get them in all kinds of designs. Like this one is snowflake. Go with snowflake. This has like a gold in it. There's some with Santa Clauses. So, Hobby Lobby definitely has all those things as well as Michael's. Okay. Well, this is definitely a fun thing to do with your children. So, during the break, holiday break, this is something you can do together, even before the break. It actually could be something that you buy the kit and the kids make gifts for their teachers. So if you're looking for gift options, definitely purchase the kit as a gift for someone, especially if you don't know what to get them, right? Or like Shelly and I would say, we have enough socks, right? If someone gives you another pair of socks or gloves for Christmas, give them something that they can do that's fun and creative. And a lot of times when people take the class, they tell me that it's relaxing, that, when you actually work with your hands, I think it does something with our bodies. And so it actually may help someone who's stressed to actually have some relaxation time. So give the gift of relaxation and give the gift of fun and creativity, and also doing something with friends. If you have friends locally, invite them over, make soap together. You can purchase the kit in several capacities to be able to accommodate more than just 1 or 2 people, because that's what one kit would do. But if you order a larger kit size, you definitely have your own little soap making party and have a girls' night out, right? Or girls, and then you can watch the video of the Girls' Night Live soap making video with your participants. But I had a wonderful time with everyone here. And if there are any more last questions, I definitely will take them.
We have one more question. And then after that, if you remind everybody about your website and everything. But Melissa from Instagram, how would you make soap on a rope?
Soap on a rope. I haven't made one of those in so long, but especially with the type of molds that we have today, there may be some other molds that are more like the square ones. So I'm thinking maybe if you have the string or the rope part, probably maybe sticking it in before you fully finish pouring. So maybe I would pour like halfway and then kind of stick the rope part kind of at the top, and then hanging over, and then pour the remaining soap on top of that so that it can cover up the little end part of the soap. And then let it harden and then take it out and it should hang, hopefully.
And I think that's it for the questions then.
Okay. All right. right, great. And my website, once again, is Naya Beauty, NYAHbeauty.com.
Well, thank you again for being here with us today. This was just fabulous. We're going to say goodbye to our